You are making the world a better place by listening to the Joy of Living podcast. This is your guide to achieving a more purposeful, powerful, and positive life. Join Barry Shore in unlocking the best version of you and becoming happier, healthier, and wealthier. And now, here's your ambassador of joy, Barry Shore.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Remember, you're good-looking because you're always looking for and finding the good, and we have found good in abundance today. I am deeply humbled and honored to be sharing with you one of the most dynamic, purposeful, powerful, pleasant, positive people that is on the planet today. And she brings the message of hope. You're going to be working with and listening to and being transformed by amazing Elaine Parker and the Job Creators Network. And we'll be doing that in just a few minutes. I just want to welcome everybody to the Joy of Living podcast with your humble host, Barry Shore. And you've tuned in consciously and conscientiously for one reason and one reason only. And it's a great reason, by the way, because you care the most in the entire world about you. Y-O-U, which is great, by the way, because when you become the best you possible, you make the world a better place. You build more bridges of harmony, create more joy, happiness, peace, and love. And I want to let you know that right now you're being joined around the world by over 348,613 people. And you do this because you care. And right now we have somewhere between 325 and 330,000 people every show. And you're always telling your family and your friends about us. We'll have probably 360 plus thousand people by the time Elaine comes on in the next few minutes. So buckle up, get ready, because this is a show you want to share with at least 5 people, just 5. Then we'll touch 1.5 million lives, because this is transformational. And that's why you tuned in, because you know that we work with the 3 fundamentals of life. The 3 fundamentals are, number 1, life. Your life has purpose. And when you lead a purpose-driven life, number 2 happens. Now, it's a good number 2. You go mad. Now, MAD is a wonderful acronym that stands for make a difference. You lead a purpose-driven life, you make a difference in the world. And the 3rd fundamental of life is to unlock the power and the secrets of everyday words and terms. Simple example, WWW. Ask anybody what it stands for. It has to do with the internet. Factually speaking, they're correct. But in our world, the world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant, WWW stands for what a wonderful world. And it is, right? Whenever you hear the opening bars of that wonderful song from Satchmo, Louis Armstrong, what a wonderful world. What do you do right away? You can't help it. You smile. Now, smile is one of the most important words you're going to internalize, utilize, and leverage in your life, because smile is an acronym that stands for seeing miracles in life every day. Seeing miracles in life every day. Now, I do, thank God, we're doing a lot of in-person events these days. No more masks, lots of hugging, strong energy. And I tell the story about Barry Shore, and I talk about seeing miracles in life every day. And people raise their hands sometimes and say, hey, Barry Shore, I've been up for hours. I haven't seen any miracles. And I ask them, are you here? Can you hear? Can you stand still? I can't do that. Can you walk? I can barely do that. You have water to drink, you have food to eat, you have a place to sleep, you have family, you have friends. Every single one of those is a miracle. Simple as proof. Simple proof. 1 million people didn't get out of bed this morning. You know why? They died. By definition, if you're watching or listening, you didn't. You have an obligation to live life to the full, which we'll be talking about in depth with wonderful Elaine Parker. So imagine the following. Standing up in the morning, hale and hearty, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound, and that evening being in the hospital, totally, completely paralyzed. That's me. Not an automobile accident, not a spinal injury, a rare disease, which I never heard of the day before, took over my body and rendered me a quadriplegic. Completely paralyzed from the neck down. I can only communicate by blinking my eyes. I was 144 days in the hospital. I was 2 years in a hospital bed in my own home. I couldn't turn over by myself. I was in a wheelchair for 4 years. I had braces on both my legs, from my hips to my ankles. That was progress. Thank God today I'm able to be vertical and ambulatory with the help of a 7-foot walking wand, but I still can't walk up a stair by myself. I can't walk up a curb by myself. And I have help 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. But you hear my voice. Positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant, all because of one word. Smile. Seeing miracles in life every day. I got to tell you a quick story. My 8-year-old niece comes over to me a few weeks ago and she says, Uncle Barry, can we spell smile? S-M-I-E-L. I thought about smile, sounds the same. Why not? I asked her, how come? She says, because then it would stand for seeing miracles in everyday life. An 8-year-old. What was she doing? She was creating the kind of world she wants to live in. Now, CREATE is a wonderful acronym. It stands for causing rethinking, enabling all to excel. Rethinking is the key to life. It's what we call a shift in perspective, just a small shift in perspective. Now, I work with many thousands of people over the years. And for some reason, 99% of people drop the F in shift and the other stuff happens. You got to be careful with your F. Shift in perspective. We're going to talk about that because the 6 most important words you'll ever internalize, utilize, and leverage in your life are choice, not chance, determines your destiny. Choice, not chance, determines your destiny. Now, before we bring on amazing Elaine Parker, I'm going to urge everybody to use the 2 most powerful words in the English language 3 times a day, every single day from now and the rest of your life, because it'll be good for your family, your friends, all living beings, especially yourself. Matter of fact, you do this, you'll be happier, healthier, and wealthier. I guarantee it, or your money back. How's that? Double your money back. These 2 words are the most powerful in the English language. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thanks stands for to harmonize and network kindness. To harmonize and network kindness. The Dalai Lama has been quoted as saying, I read in his writings, be kind whenever possible. And as he said, it's always possible. So imagine you go into your fancy coffee shop, you order your fancy latte, you sit down, somebody brings it to you, say thank you. You go to the coffee shop, you order a fancy latte, you wait a couple of minutes, nobody brings it, you go to the counter and say, oh, I'm sorry, we're busy, we forgot, we'll bring it to you. You sit down, a couple more minutes go by, you still say thank you. You're walking out of the coffee shop, it's raining out, and somebody holds the door open for you. You say thank you. You're walking out of the coffee shop, and it's raining, and somebody slams the door on you. You say thank you. You're late for an appointment, stuck in traffic, somebody cuts you off, you say, thank you. You get up in the middle of the night and you stub your toe and it hurts. You say, thank you. To harmonize and network kindness. I can't think kind of anybody that I'd like to share with is more kind. Kind stands for, by the way, keep inspiring noble deeds than wonderful, amazing Elaine Parker. Elaine, please say hello to 363,822 people around the world.
Hi, Barry, and hi, 363,000 people, 363,812 people around the world.
Well, if those of you who have the ability to watch, you are seeing a sparkling personality. I don't mean me. It is Elaine Parker, the bright, beautiful smile. If I start reading to you about her CV, it would take the rest of the show. So I'm just going to give you a couple of highlights because it's critical to what we're discussing. Elaine is the president of the Job Creators Network Foundation and the chief communications officer. And the Job Creators Network is one of the most positive, purposeful, powerful processes that we have in the United States of America, and it touches the world because we're talking about the genius of capitalism, the genius of business, and business creating work, jobs for people all over the world. And we, as capitalists, are under attack today. So I'm just going to ask a question and let Elaine speak because she's far more capable than I about, let's talk first of all, who is or what is Job Creators Network and why are you doing this?
Well, thanks so much for having me on, Barry. I've been looking forward to speaking with you for quite a while now. So the Job Creators Network is a national small business advocacy organization, and we're founded by probably one of the greatest entrepreneurs of all time. Great American, Barnie Marcus. He's the co-founder of the Home Depot. And it's just such a rags to riches story about how great this country is and how entrepreneurism is what drives this country. When Barnie was 49 years old, he was fired from his job and he was broke. But he had an idea and he knew that this country, was the land of opportunity. And he went on with his two partners to start the Home Depot. He opened with 2 stores in Georgia. They were, from what I understand, remodeled 7-Elevens. And he's grew that company to today with, over 2,300 locations worldwide, employs over 500,000 associates. He's been out of the Home Depot for 20 years now and has dedicated his life to giving back and helping, ordinary Americans through research and donations through his foundation. But only in America could you read a story like that. It's just amazing. And so he started the Job Creators Network in 2010 because he really felt like government was breaking the backs of small businesses through high taxes and regulations and litigation, and that the guy or gal with the next big idea like his wouldn't stand a chance unless we started to defend capitalism, entrepreneurism, because it is what drives America and it is what drives our economy. There's 30 million small business owners in this country. They employ 60 million people. They create 2/3 of all new net jobs. And we have to continue defending them. They are the backbone of this country. And so we have to create an environment where they can grow and thrive because every big business started out as a small business.
There's so much to unpack here, and again, Elaine is giving over information that is transformational. I want to make this point very strongly. Information is regularly available on the internet, but what we're looking for is things that transform. So you just talked about the transformation of a human being. Barnie Marcus is his name. I'm a big follower of Barnie Marcus for several reasons. Number one, because of the success story. Number two, because my father was named Barnie. And number three, because he understands fully that giving is the essence of business. So I want to unpack a couple of things that you mentioned here, and it's critical. First of all, this is America. This is the essence of the American story. Even if he went from riches to riches, it wouldn't matter. But the fact that he was broke at 49 with a vision, it's the American spirit. And the government coming in with taxes, with regulations, as you mentioned, is the opposite of that. So the bigger the government, the smaller the individual, and the crushing of the American spirit, which is job creation. In other words, you mentioned something that I want to emphasize. At Home Depot, the people are not called employees. They may be, let's be blunt, but they're part of a culture that is called associates. Mm-hmm. And that's also what I think is a driver of capitalism. See, I believe in something called conscious capitalism, as do you, that we are awake. We're not here just to make money. Money is a byproduct, right? Matter of fact, if you look at the word business, it's spelled Business. The U comes before the I. So Barnie had a vision. It was not about him. It was about his vision of what can he do to serve more. It's about the you. He was thinking about the people he wanted to serve more. The result is, okay, he got riches because that's what happens. It's a law of attraction. So I want to go deeper now because we've talked about, this is the American phenomenon, which, by the way, is beginning to find itself throughout the world. People want to be free. They want to be free to promote their ideas, their vision of giving, and therefore receiving. So let's talk about what you call, and I think it's so well said, the American Small Business Prosperity Plan. That's a mouthful. The American Small Business Prosperity Plan. What is it? And why should we learn about it?
So, as I mentioned, we represent and defend small businesses and free enterprise in general. And so, as we were beginning this year, we realized that the big issues facing our economy, small businesses, and everyday ordinary Americans has been economic inflation, the cost of energy. I mean, I don't know if you know this, but just eggs alone are up 46%. Just to buy, just to
Eggs.
buy eggs.
Eggs, a mainstay of people's diet.
Yeah, I mean, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, everything is up, which means the money that we bring home in our paycheck every week isn't going as far, and it's harder to make ends meet. And so what we wanted to do was put together a plan for the new Congress that comes in. We're just a few weeks out from a very important midterm election. And we know that a new Congress is going to come in, and there needs to be a very, very focused approach on the unique needs of the small business community. So we put together an 8-point plan. For small businesses and for the new Congress to get behind. And they're very common sense approach policies. It's about taking the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act and making it permanent. Your listeners may not realize this, but the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act is going to start expiring at the end of this year. Parts of it will start at the end of this year. By 2025, it will fully expire. The provisions in that bill, which we were very, very involved in, not only providing input from the small business community, but actually getting it across the finish line. Those provisions propelled this economy to the greatest economy we had seen in half a century. And so as much as it was maligned by the Democrats on the other side of the aisle, it really did propel this economy, and it really did lift people across every demographic. From wages to jobs, new companies starting. I mean, it was an amazing piece of legislation until the pandemic came along. So we want to make that permanent. We also want to look at how Congress approaches new regulations for businesses. Unfortunately, our government is good at doing a one-size-fits-all approach on everything, including rules and regulations. Well, regulations are a hidden tax on small businesses because they don't have floors of lobbyists and accountants to get around all the rules like big businesses do. So regulations don't really hurt big businesses as much as they hurt small businesses. So we want to have a default setting, if you will, that small businesses are automatically exempt from new rules and regulations unless the Congress does its work and proves that there will not be a disproportionate effect on our small businesses. So by default, they're all exempt. Makes sense, right?
Well, as you said, and as we all know from President Reagan, common sense is just not so common. So we have to continue to make the common sense appear real. And you're right. This is by the way, I want to make sure that everybody understands. Elaine is talking about one of the most important situations that has happened in certainly the past 20 years, maybe the past half century. And that is the election on November 8th in the United States of America, because it affects the world. Let's be blunt. What happens in the economy of the United States of America affects the world. And if we can have a shift in both the House and the Senate, then there is the possibility of bringing back common sense into the American government. It doesn't have to be just Democrat or Republican. It is called America. And when Americans work together for the betterment of all, then it's a ripple effect throughout the entire world. That's why people listen to this show, by the way. We talk about the joy of living, and we use joy as an acronym that stands for Journey of You. That's what it's about. What Elaine is talking about, the journey of you, is that small business owner. He or she, beginning with a vision, understanding it's a you before the I, and building, putting in their blood, their sweat, their tears, their money into doing something that they believe in. You can only do this in the United States of America because that's what our country is built on. It's built on vision, on energy, of growth, of helping everyone. So thank you. Common sense. Okay, these are 2 points. The permanent, making the tax provisions permanent, and a default so that small businesses become exempt from the angry regulations. Okay, another point, if you'd be so kind.
We want to open up our domestic drilling again. I mean, when this administration came in, from day one, they declared war on fossil fuels, and it started with the one stroke of the pen, canceling the Keystone Pipeline, and from then on, it has been a constant war, to the point where the administration has had to release, or made the decision, not had to, but made the decision to release our strategic reserves to try and bring down the price, going to other countries that just don't like us. I mean, that's a security issue. They don't like us, and we're asking countries like Venezuela to give us oil when we can produce it right here at home safely and cheaply. And why not produce it here where we can have these industries that are regulated by the government and can follow rules that are environmentally safe and sound? Do you think Venezuela or Iran or other country, or Russia, do you think they're going to follow any of our rules that we think are correct for the environment? They're not. But if we're doing it right here at home safely and cheaply, I mean, think about how much better it will be for the environment and the consumers. So common sense approaches like that. We want to create better ways for more ways for small businesses to get financing. We want to again, we want to unclog the supply chain. That's been a big issue since the pandemic, is the supply chain. Well, again, these are the types of issues that impact small businesses in such a disproportionate way, because our large companies, they tend to have big contracts that put them at the front of the line. They have big purchasing power that small businesses don't have. So when scarce products do come in, guess who gets the first products? It's the big companies, not the little companies. So we want to unclog that supply chain, in a way that helps small businesses as well. These are all common sense approaches. Your listeners can find the full plan. There's 8 simple points on our website at jobcreatorsnetwork.com. They can click on the prosperity plan, and it will take them to a site where they can actually send a letter. It's pre-formed letter. It will go to their 2 senators and their representative in the House, telling them that they need to support the Small Business Prosperity Plan and support small businesses. And these letters make a difference. During the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, we sent over 500,000 letters from people around the country to Congress, and that is one of the ways that we helped get that bill over the finish line. So we know that this works, and we know that we can get Congress's attention. This is not a Republican or Democrat plan. This is a small business plan that will help all Americans.
So, first of all, we applaud. I mean, I'm doing it right now, and I'm doing it with energy, and I'm urging everyone listening, if you're in the United States of America, it's something that you need to do. So I'll make it very easy. Go to my website, www.whatawonderfulworld.barryshaw.com. Everything about Elaine is there. You don't have to write down anything. Just lean in. Just remember, this is transformational stuff that we're talking about here. It's not just information. This is transformational. Go to my website, barryshaw.com. Everything about Elaine and Job Creators Network and all the processes you want right there. Just a click. Make it happen. Make it happen. Send those letters. If you can pick up a phone, it's even better. And try, and by the way, you're not limited to one. You can even tell your family and friends. If you're a small business owner, you owe it to yourself, to your family, to your friends, and to our country to take some action. Action is the key to success. We all know this. You're going to start a business, it's about action. You can have a great vision. Barnie Marcus, by the way, one of the great things, let's just do a quick segue to Barnie for the moment, because I know his new book just came out, and it is really a barn burner. And because, like you said, he's a great hero of American capitalism. I can count 2 or 3 other people that I would think about, but Barnie is an essential being, and it's not just his story of success, it's his story of struggle. And I think that's really where it becomes vitally important. So let's just, if you would be kind to make a few minutes about what it was that enabled the then nascent idea, that small seed, that chick in the egg of something. I don't think any one of the partners ever dreamed that it was going to be so large. But what was it that enabled them to get going? Because it wasn't regulations, it wasn't taxes that helped. It was the American spirit. Give us some insight from the book, if you'd be so kind.
It truly was. And the name of his book is Kick Up Some Dust. And I don't even know if you know this, but your listeners may not realize it. Bernie is 93 years old. And he's amazing to talk. He's as amazing to talk to now as when I met him 15 years ago and started working for him. And, you know, he has not only a vision, but he cares about people. And he understands, he came from nothing. I mean, he's the son of poor Russian immigrant parents, and he was as poor as can be. And he worked hard. I mean, he talks about how he was in a gang as a kid. You know, it was be in the gang or get killed by the gang, you know, and he struggled, and he wanted to go to medical school, and he got accepted into medical school. But back then, there was a quota on how many Jews could be let into medical school, and to get in, which he did get accepted, he had to come up with $10,000 just to go there. And all of his family put together couldn't raise $10,000. So he couldn't go to medical school, you know, so he turned to retail, and, you know, that kind of worked out for him too. but he's very involved in medical advances now. And he funds a lot of different projects on the medical side for wounded warriors who suffer from PTSD, autism. He started the largest autism institute in the country. They treat thousands of kids per year who have autism. My nephew actually has autism and has attended the institute as well. But it's an incredible program. So I can attest to it personally on how well the program works and what he has done to move the ball forward in so many areas. And of course, defending free enterprise has been important to him as well, and defending the system that created so much wealth and so much success for him. And now he uses that wealth to give back in all of these ways. Is pretty incredible. But some of his stories in the early days when he was struggling, you know, I've heard them through the years, so many years working for him. He talks about when he first opened the stores, you know, the idea was to have all of this inventory on the floors. When you walk through, remember, there's rafters all the way to the ceiling of inventory. But in those early days, they didn't have any money. They didn't have enough money to buy inventory. So they made deals with their paint suppliers and suppliers who shipped in other products to get empty boxes and empty cans of paint with labels on them. And they stacked them to the ceiling to make it look like they had inventory. And he would do things like he would forget to put a stamp, you know, on a bill or something like that, because he knew he had to make payroll every single Friday, as small business owners do. And when you have that struggle, you want to make sure you pay your employees, you know, first. But he'll even talk today. He talks about how they paid all of their suppliers to make sure that they got paid, because if you remember, he was starting the Home Depot during the Carter days. And so for him, yeah, I mean, you were talking about.
I want to put just on pause just for one moment. So first of all, I'm tearing up. For those who are watching, I'm crying also because you mentioned two things, an A and a C. So I have two nieces who are autistic. And so I'm touched also by what he's doing. But I want to make mention, people hear Carter. Okay, well, again, most everybody listening is under the age of 35. They don't even know what a Jimmy Carter is. But I'm just going to give you a thumbnail sketch of the 4 years of deprivation under Carter in the United States. And it's almost like we're going there now, and God forbid it should happen. That's why we need a Republican Congress, at least, because in the bad Carter days, it was wear a sweater because we can't afford energy. And we had 17% interest rates. People couldn't buy homes, or if they did, they were doing it at 16-17% interest rates. It was almost as if there was a dark cloud of the United States of America. It was a very difficult experience. The only good news about the Carter years, the only good news is they helped elect President Reagan. Because otherwise, the people actually, they didn't think. They woke up and they said, wait a minute, there must be a better alternative. This is craziness. And here comes a man who was once a Democrat, became a Republican because he recognized that that was a better way to serve America. I'm not saying anything other than today, but he recognized, and he uses this great line, of course, the 10 most horrible words in the English language. I'm from the government, and I'm here to help you. And he recognized with his skill of communication that there is a better way. He opened things up. So I want to give everybody an understanding that when Barnie Marcus started what he now calls Home Depot, the Home Depot, it was during the Carter days. You couldn't get worse. Now, on that great high note, keep your seatbelt buckled. So we're coming back with Elaine. We have, thank God, sponsors who love our show. So we're going to go to a quick break, and we'll be right back after this brief message. Don't go away. Opportunity. What an opportunity. I'm going to use 2 4-letter words right now. Free gift. Free gift. Yes. You can have a copy of my best-selling book, The Joy of Living, How to Slay Stress and Be Happy, the ebook version for absolutely free. All you have to do is send an email to me, Barry, Barry, at barryshore.com, and in the heading, the subject line, just write, free gift. It's as easy as that. This is a life-changing, life-enhancing opportunity. Barry at barryshore.com. You'll be glad you did. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Free gift. Do it now. Take the action. Make it happen right now. Best wishes. Bye. Imagine the kind of place you would want to shop for your favorite fur baby pet. HonestPets.co. Well, you found it. HonestPets.co. Not .com, .co. This is your go-to spot for the best, the cleanest pet treats that exist anywhere on the planet. All of the brands go through a rigorous review to make sure they meet the high standards of cleanliness, health benefits, and naturalness. This site was started by a husband and wife team, and it's veteran-owned, and that care about pets, especially dogs and cats, and coming soon, bird treats. These are very nice young people who really care about making a difference, because a portion of proceeds go to support veteran organizations with a focus on service dogs. This is the place where you want to go. You want to tell your friends this has the finest, yummiest, freshest, all-natural treats and stuff for your fur baby. So go there, honestpets.co. honestpets.co. Do it now. Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Remember, you're good-looking because you're always looking for and finding the good. Our cup runneth over with good. And a person, her name is Elaine Parker. She is the Chief Communications Officer as well as the President of the Job Creators Network, which was founded by one of the great American heroes of capitalism, Barnie Marcus, who started the Home Depot. And the whole point of JCN is to bring back, to revitalize the ability for small businesses to grow, because that's what they're about. They're seedlings and they want to become redwoods, and they can if you allow that nurturing spirit and recognize that this is the essence of what capitalism is all about. So we just ended on a very high note. We elected President Reagan, and we saw Barnie Marcus stacking up empty boxes and paint cans to the ceiling to show that there was lots of inventory, even though there wasn't. But he did everything he could to make sure that everybody got paid. Employees, suppliers, and if there was a penny left over, for himself and his partners. Thank God what happened is things grew. People understood. So let's just invest a few more minutes, wonderful Elaine, and let's talk about something called the Great Opportunity Project. Now, of course, it's also called GOP, but we won't go there. But the Great Opportunity Project. What is that, and why should people be aware of it?
So that's been part of our national campaign this entire year. It's the American Small Business Prosperity Plan. Is we promote it within that campaign, and the Great Opportunity Project is really to nationalize the successes of policies that help people thrive and survive and thrive, really. And we did that because we looked at some of these states as we came out of the pandemic on which states were doing well and which states were doing not so well. And what we saw consistently is that the states that were run by conservative governors and legislators who were able to balance the health and safety of their citizens with the health of their economies were doing better all the way around, from an economic standpoint, from a health standpoint. So you look at Florida, you look at Texas, Georgia, Arizona. Those are just some of the states that, were able to really work at balancing everything. And the pandemic was a black swan event. I mean, we didn't know what we were dealing with. And these governors knew that we couldn't have people starving to death in addition to dealing with the pandemic. So they focused on getting their economies open as soon as possible. South Dakota actually never closed their economy, but focused on empowering small business owners to know that they had to keep their employees safe and their customers safe. And they needed to take whatever those provisions were within their own environments to do that. And so we want to nationalize those successes. Florida is really a model in and of itself of what it's done. Georgia is too. And help connect the dots for voters that conservative policies where government stays out of the way and allows people to keep more of their own hard-earned money, that conservative policies lead to prosperity, and help educate them in that way that less government is better than more government. Unfortunately, government tends to whenever they get involved in something, there's so many examples of it, they tend to want to pick winners and losers. And when you have that kind of distortion in any kind of economy, or even in any kind of competition, economy, industry, you name it, everybody ends up losing. It doesn't turn out well for anybody.
I want to unpack a few things here that you said, because I'm leaning in, I'm listening. And again, I urge everybody, just go to my website, www.barryshore.com. Everything that Elaine is discussing is going to be there. And it's important as a resource, not just for this particular podcast, but to share with other people. Again, I'm asking for 5 people to share with, that's all. Then we touch 1.5 million people around the world, and then it will start growing by itself. This is not just information. This is transformational processes. Because you mentioned what I call the P word, prosperity. Prosperity does not have a political party. Prosperity is something that every human being wants, yearns for. It happens to be that the United States is the leader in the world because we were founded on a vision, a great vision. As President Reagan said, the shining hill, the city upon the hill. We are a beacon to the world. And when our beacon is strong, we're a guiding light. So you talked about health and safety. The ability for a government, let's say in Florida, Texas, Arizona, Georgia, as you mentioned, to be cognizant of all issues and how it affects the small businesses, because they recognize that the engine, not the caboose, not just another car, the engine that's going to help us through this difficult black swan event called the pandemic. It wasn't the pandemic that was the problem, it was the lockdown. We all know that. But when you have government and governors and people who are concerned about balancing health, safety with prosperity, then you have an opportunity, as it's been shown and proven now, to go forward. And that's really the key. Going forward now, what do we do? Okay, we've been through it. It was a very difficult time, but now we're moving forward. How do we move forward? So we move forward with the Great Opportunity Project. Is there one or two items in the Great Opportunity Project that you can mention now? And again, everything will be at the website that people can explore and such. But are there one or two items that you want to talk about from the GOP?
Sure. I mean, we're focused on supporting small businesses. We're focused on creating more healthcare choices and improving our healthcare system. We're focused on parental empowerment. I mean, we also learned a lot about what was happening in schools and what our kids were being taught. So we're focused on parental empowerment. And overall, just improving the economy. And right now, for the next couple of weeks, we've been out on a national bus tour. I was in Orlando, Florida, Atlanta, Georgia, and Philadelphia this week. I was with one of your friends. I was with Dennis Prager and Sebastian Gorka and Mike Gallagher of Salem Radio Network, just on tour, meeting with audiences in person. And I will tell you, the three of them together are a powerhouse. They are so much fun. They could take a show on the road all year long and have sold out audiences because it was a blast. But what they're doing is talking to people about what they need to do. They have got to get more involved, and they've got to get more involved. One of the smartest things I heard Sebastian Gorka tell these audiences was that the left has taken our country away, not at the federal level, because a lot of people pay attention to the federal level. They've done it at the local levels, through our county commissioners and our school boards. And that is how they've literally changed the fabric of this country. And we have got to take back this nation. So if you're in your community, you need to show up to those county commissioner meetings. You need to show up to those school board meetings. You need to make your voice heard and make sure that you understand what's happening in these schools and what's happening in your local communities, because they are literally changing rules and laws at the local level right under our noses. And it's a lot to keep up with. I get it, but focus on your world and focus on your communities, because if you're protecting your communities and you're engaged in your communities, then that is going to reverberate up. And you're going to find that as long as our communities are safe and our crime is down and our kids are in school and learning what they're supposed to, that things will work out at the federal level too, and we'll be involved there. But our local levels are so important for people to get involved in.
Let's unpack a few things that you said. I want to ask you a quick question. So having a bus tour in Orlando or Atlanta, sort of, that's a softball. No offense. Those are crowds that want you. I want to hear about Philadelphia, because at best, that's a mixed bag. And it has unfortunately been infected, and I say specifically infected purposely by the left. We won't mention that person's name, who has funded many attorney generals races around the country. But I want people to understand that when Elaine mentions about getting involved in the local community, it's not just, it's nice to be at the local level. Local is where things happen. We call it grassroots because grass, thank God, can grow quickly, and it can grow well in almost any circumstance. And then once you've planted good seeds of trees, you can grow up. And it's really, we call up unlimited possibilities. And that's the essence of America. But I'd love if you'd be kind enough, tell me, what was it like in Philadelphia?
Well, we had a fantastic crowd. I mean, we had probably 1,600 people show up, sold out event, and it was amazing. And we were about 30 minutes right outside of Philadelphia. But Philadelphia is now the crime capital of the country.
That's why I was asking. I'm sorry to say this. I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm sorry to say it, but because people listen from around the world. By the way, this is hard to say. The image that people around the world have today of America is not what you and I see. See, we see still America, the beautiful, the growing, the energetic. But what is usually published around the world is crime, murder, mayhem, only because that stuff gains attention. And I want everybody to understand that when you hear Elaine say Philadelphia, the crime capital of America, it's an inner city phenomenon that is run exclusively, it's true, by Democrats. Democrats own the city of Philadelphia. So when you say you had the show 30 minutes outside, that makes a little more sense. But the reality of life is we can bring back goodness to the cities. It can happen. We don't have to be held hostage. That is what Elaine is talking about. Am I right, Elaine? We are not held hostage. This is America.
Yeah, these soft on crime prosecutors in these cities across the country are literally letting people out within hours of committing these horrific crimes. I mean, look at Lee Zeldin in New York, who's running for governor. I mean, he had a man walk on stage with some sort of sharp instrument and try to stab him, and he was literally out that day. And think about it, Lee is a sitting U.S. congressman, and they still didn't enforce the laws for him. I mean, we talk about how, famous people get better treatment and everything like that. Well, the reality is he didn't get any better treatment either. So think about just a regular, ordinary American. I mean, these people are definitely allowing these people to get out, and they're not enforcing the laws, and the criminals know it. They know what they can get away with. I mean, out in California, in San Francisco, they weren't enforcing, it was $1,000. So basically you could go out and rob, a Walgreens and shoplift up to $1,000. So $1,000 a day. Imagine if you were running a business and you had to give up $1,000 a day of your products because criminals knew they could come in and they wouldn't be prosecuted if they didn't take over $1,000. You could walk in with a calculator, hit $999 and walk out. No one's going to stop you and no one's going to prosecute you. They know this. I don't understand why you wouldn't want to prosecute somebody, but you've got Starbucks closing stores in California. You've got McDonald's closing stores in Chicago. And that's because of crime. I mean, they come out and say it's because of crime. So think about it, Barry. If you're a McDonald's and you have to close, 6 stores in the city of Chicago, do you think it's going to affect McDonald's bottom line? No, not one bit. But if you're a guy who owns a pizzeria in the city of Chicago and you can't keep your store open because your employees don't feel safe coming to work, and that's your one location, you're toast. You are toast. You can't survive. So that's what I mean when these problems disproportionately impact our small businesses so negatively. I mean, I could go on and on and on about how these things are such an impact on our small businesses. You've got one location and your employees don't feel safe coming to work, you're out of business. You're done. So
this is so important because we were now going on a path of talking about a crime and things like that. And people might be thinking, well, wait, how does Job Creators Network help with this situation? Well, it does. I'm going to make a categorical statement. You can disagree with me, Elaine, if you want. Jobs bring hope. Businesses build benefits. When you have hope in a community and you have businesses in a community, then that ripple effect of goodness pushes against the crime-laden areas, and people begin to wake up, just like it happened from the Carter to Reagan, and we can vote people out of office. It will happen. It's not just it may happen. It will happen. There is a wave coming of understanding. It's a wave of saying, I want to be involved. I need to be involved. I'm a parent. I'm a grandparent. I am capable of understanding that the vision of the United States of America is for good. This is the essence. We are a country built on what we call an ecosystem of good. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I agree with you that, there is a red wave coming. It is going to be, I think it's going to be very consequential what we see on November the 8th. And I think, our CEO, Alfredo Ortiz, continues to predict that the big story on Wednesday morning after that election is going to be that the Hispanic vote actually put us over and won the Senate and the House for us. And it's going to be because Hispanics are leaving the Democratic Party in droves and moving to the Republican Party. I mean, Reagan always said, Hispanics are Republicans. They just don't know it yet.
And by the way, because they still came and have family values. Let's be blunt. Everything is built on the family. You mentioned about parental empowerment, marriage. There's still more marriage in the Hispanic community. Now, by the way, this is really important for people listening around the world. Around the world, again, what happens in America affects the world, not just in the economy, but in the mindset. See, when you see an America that is engaged again, that is robust, that is caring, it brings benefit to all people throughout the world who want to be free. People are yearning to be free. You may not be able to topple a North Korea in one generation. You never know, though. You may not be able to affect a communist China, but you never know, because as President Reagan said, there is nothing more powerful than a good idea.
Well, think
Barnie
about it, Barry.
Marcus. I'm sorry?
I was just going to say, think about it. People come here for the American dream. You know, they don't go to other places for some other dream.
Right.
They
They're
come
not
here for the
flocking.
American dream. They don't go to Iran for the Iranian dream. They come to America.
Right. And by the way, God willing, Iran also may become toast. And again, that would be great, because that'd be the fulfillment of how President Reagan became President Reagan. I mean, it was the ability for one person who was a Republican, who had been a Democrat, to stand up and say, we will not tolerate the fact that our people have been imprisoned in a country called Iran, and I'm going to do something about it. And they were so afraid that when he became president, it opened up. It had to, because strength through goodness is the most powerful idea in the history of the world. There is nothing more powerful than the United States of America's founding vision. This is a country built on freedom. This is a country built on giving. This is a country built on can do. That's our essence. Elaine, I don't want to dwell on things that the current president has done or is doing or trying to do, with such things as student loan bailouts and, again, taking oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, because they are blatantly done to curry favor and votes. And they're completely antithetical to the American understanding of responsibility. But I'd like, if you would be kind enough, just in a minute or so, tell us what JCN sees when it sees this abrogation of responsibility amongst people.
Well, look, since this administration has come in, I think one of the worst things that this president has done is really kill the American work ethic. Paying people to stay home, people who are making more money to stay home than to come back to work, has created a labor shortage that we've not seen in a lifetime, in a generation. And again, hurts small businesses the most. But to hurt the American work ethic, I mean, we are the envy of the world. We are the hardest working country out there. That's why people come here, again, for that American dream. And the policies under this administration has literally killed the American work ethic. And we need to get that back. We need to focus on, on bringing people back to work, and reinstilling that American work ethic that has made us the most powerful country in the world. Remember, capitalism has lifted more people out of poverty, millions and millions of people out of poverty, than any other system in the world. We have a larger middle class than any other country in the world because of our system of free enterprise. And so for all of those people who think that socialism will somehow be great, you need to look no further than a country like Venezuela, that used to be one of the wealthiest countries in the world until it was done. What changed that country was changed by a vote of the people. And that was what allowed the government to come in and take over that country and take over full industries. And now it is one of the poorest countries, at least the people are, the government makes a ton of money on the oil that they sell, but the people suffer under that regime, and they voted it in.
And that's what we care about.
This country can make the wrong vote too. And that's why we spend our time at Job Creators Network trying to educate the public about the power of the free enterprise, about the opportunity that exists for all. We're not entitled to the same results, but we're certainly entitled to the same opportunities. And that does exist. And so we do that by getting out and amplifying the voices of our small business owners and helping through their voice educate the public and the media and legislators about how these policies help them thrive and survive and grow their businesses. Because when small businesses are doing well, if you're the generator of jobs in the country, 2/3 of new jobs are coming out of the small business community. They need to be heard. And so what we do is we make sure they're heard in the pages of the newspapers, on radio waves, on podcasts like yours, and on TV across the nation. We get our small business owners out there talking in the media.
I love when you mention the big O, opportunity, the essence of the American dream, and that you work with awe. Did you know that awe stands for what you just said? American work ethic. We stand in awe of what you do, wonderful Elaine Parker. I am going to ask you 3 quick questions, if I may. You ready? Number 1, will you come back again?
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you. Number 2, you only have 80 seconds to answer this one. And I know you can't. What is your most fervent desire?
My fervent desire is that we take back the House and the Senate on November 8th, so that we can help get this country back on track. And what I know to be the brilliance and the greatness of this country is allowing people to have the freedom to keep more of their own hard-earned money and to spend it the way they want, not the way the government wants, and to get the government out of the way. I mean, President Reagan always said, government is not the solution to the problem. Government is the problem. And so once we all understand that, I think that things will start to get better.
On that wonderful high note, I'm going to envelop you in a hug, if I may. Are you ready? But let me tell you what HUG stands for. Heartfelt, unlimited giving, because that's what JCN's all about. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Hundreds of thousands of people around the world love that. So I just want to make mention again that you tuned in consciously and conscientiously to the Joy of Living podcast for one reason only, because you care the most in the entire world about you. Elaine Parker is great. She gave us transformational information. Barry Shore, nice guy, but it's all about you. So go to the website, barryshore.com, and not just see what's there from Job Creators Network, but utilize it. Even if you live outside the United States, but certainly live here, take action. Because remember, the 3 fundamentals of life. Number 1, your life has purpose. Number 2, you lead a purpose-driven life. You go MAD. MAD is a great acronym that stands for make a difference. And number 3, unlock the power and the sequence of everyday words and terms like WWW, what a wonderful world, when it's run right with common sense. And number 2, smile, seeing miracles in life every day. As my 8-year-old niece says, seeing miracles in everyday life. Use the 2 most powerful words in English language 3 times a day, every single day from now to the rest of your life. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And create the kind of world that you want to live in, using the tools that we've been given through our system and through Job Creators Networks. Create stands, remember, causing rethinking, enabling all to excel, as Elaine taught us about awe. Live in awe, live with the American work ethic. And our prayer from Elaine and Barry is, go forth, live exuberantly, spread the seeds of joy, happiness, peace, and love. Go MAD, go make a difference. Wonderful Elaine, don't go away, okay? Be right back with you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Joy of Living podcast. Now that's another step towards your healthier, happier, and wealthier life. Never hesitate to do good in the world, no matter what the situation. Join us for another upbeat discussion next time at barryshore.com. And be sure to leave a rating and subscribe to the show to get more conversations like this. And remember to share it with your family and friends too. See you on the next episode.